Today, we're diving into something that scientifically runs the show in our lives for so many of us: ego. And I think a lot of times when you hear the word ego, we think it means something completely different, but that's not necessarily the case. So, in this episode, I want to show everyone who feels stuck or frustrated, or if you're constantly overthinking, or like you always have to prove something. Because chances are your ego is standing in your way. And we will have 8 signs that ego is blocking your best life and how to move past it. So stick with us. Hi there, and welcome back to Hope Regained. I'm your host, Christiane Boudreau, and I'm so grateful and excited that you've taken the time to spend with us this week for this episode. In this episode, I promised you a little bit more of a lesson on ego. And I think a lot of times it's misconstrued. Everybody thinks it's somebody with a big head and full of themselves. And that's not exactly what it is. It's so much more than that. It doesn't have to be something evil or mean or anything like that. In fact, it's much more in the sense that it's designed to protect us. It's designed to shelter us from things that have hurt us in the past or our insecurities. It's a part of us that wants to give us safety and control and identity. So I think if we look at it that way, we could see how it's blocking us. And with a little bit of self-awareness, we can get used to catching it, taking a deep breath, and putting it aside so it doesn't get in our way any longer. So instead of stepping into your higher self and your truth or your purpose, you end up stuck in patterns. And those patterns don't serve you if you want to live your best life. A lot of people don't understand. Again, like I said, it's not just the big head. So the 8 signs that it's having an impact in your life and it's running the show, here they are. And I think maybe if you listen, you'll recognize where they might impact you in your life. I know this is one of the biggest ones for me that tripped me up for a lot of my life. And I still have to work at every day. I have to take awareness. I have to really concentrate on this one. I have to constantly take a step back and breathe and release some of that. And I'm not perfect, I'm still working at it, but it comes up quite often once you realize what that ego really looks like. The first sign that you'll notice is that you're taking everything personally. This one was a big one for me as well. So if somebody were to say something and you construe it as negative, it's not necessarily negative against you, but you take that personally. That's a sign. If they give you constructive feedback, because let's face it, the only way we're going to get better is with feedback so that we can critique different things for growth. But if you get that feedback and feel attacked, that's taking something personally where it's not necessarily meant to be. Or if somebody is distant or cold, maybe it's not about you, but we could take it that way. We interpret it that way. Or if somebody needs space, a friend or a partner or family, then why are we seeing it as rejection? Because that's not necessarily the case. I think one way to take a step back and look at that for me is if somebody is cold or giving constructive feedback that comes off as harsh and we take it personally, I take a step back and say, there's no need for anybody to necessarily attack, because if they're in a healthy space, they would have a discussion with you or a constructive conversation. If their response seems harsh or anything else, that's on them. So in your mind, the best way to step through that one is to take a step back and give it back to them. It's not yours to carry. How each person's response is theirs, not yours. So ego has a tendency to step in and believe that everything is about you. It's about us. And it's not. People have bigger lives than just that and so many other things going on in their minds. So that's number one. Number two, always needing to be right. Have you ever stopped to think why sometimes you engage in an argument to try to prove that you're right? Why that need is there? Even when you know you're wrong. Let's face it, we've all done it at least once, if not more. And having that self-awareness there lets us realize that, maybe I need to take a step back. You can sometimes interrupt others to prove a point. You need to talk over everyone to get your point across. That's another part of it. Or you feel really uncomfortable admitting a mistake. That was a big one that I wanted to work on because admitting mistakes is part of taking accountability and responsibility for things. And only then can you make them better. Can you fix them, correct them? So that's a protective side. That's where ego is equating being wrong to being weak. When in actuality, when you can stand up for your mistakes and take accountability, that's being strong, showing strength. Number three, overhauling titles and status or recognition. Why are they so important to you? Why are they so important to most of us? I think society in that point has played a large part in that. We overvalue it by saying that title means something. When you meet somebody, the first question they ask sometimes is, what do you do for a living? And we feel we have to stuff it up there to make it sound like we're something great. It's part of that feeling good about oneself. You must have a status or title. Society has played a big part. Ego within ourselves thrives on external validation and image. So where do we see that? What parts in our lives can we be aware of that and take a step back? Well, at work, do you chase for a label or a title or recognition at your job rather than the passion and the pride in the work that you're actually doing and how well you do it? Do you post on social media for validation from somebody else rather than finding validation from within? And do you measure your success by how successful you look rather than keeping that within? Do you need to advertise it to everyone? Or can you feel good about your own successes and your own measure for where you want to be within your life? And that's the difference in that number three. So again, in the self-awareness piece, whenever it comes up, or you can always take a look back right now when you're journaling and say, do I recognize where I might fall into these categories so I can start to work on it and feel better and happier? Number four, avoiding vulnerability. Let's face it, vulnerability is tough for all of us because it means we're putting ourselves out there and can get hurt. And ego fears being seen without a mask. So if you're hiding behind that mask, that's ego stepping in to protect you. That's ego trying to hold everything in so you don't get hurt. And that's understandable. But in all honesty, vulnerability is actually a show of strength. Vulnerability is showing that true self so you can really connect with that other person and their true self. Don't you want to have relationships based on authenticity and have that strong connection and bond? I know I do. And that's where vulnerability and holding it back can block you from having those successful and great relationships that are so rewarding. Can you get hurt? Absolutely, you can. But that's a part of life. And in order to experience extreme joy, we also means that we're going to experience extreme hurt sometimes. Tit for tat. Do you not ask for help because it's a sign of weakness that shows that you're vulnerable? That's another side. Being able to ask for help when you need it is actually a great strength. It doesn't mean you keep take. You give back when you can too. And a lot of us, we pretend to have it all together, when in actuality, we don't. I don't think any of us do. I know I don't. A lot of times, I like to feel like I've got it all together, and I think that I have to burden everything on my shoulders to show strength for everybody around me. But that's not the case. And that's ego getting in the way. Number 5, comparing yourself constantly. And I have a little sign that I made with dynamite dots hanging on the wall back there. It's one of the list of 7 things not to do to experience happiness in life is don't compare. Stop comparing. Ego sees life as a competition, and it's not. We all have our strengths. We all have our best things that we can do better than the person next to us. Not everybody is gifted musically or with, I guess, brilliance of math or something else. We each have our own strength, and it's about allowing that to come out instead of comparing to those around us. The bad thing I think a lot of people do is with social media being so prominent and whatever's out there for marketing is scrolling and having a look and comparing all the time to what everybody else's life is like. Take a step back, breathe, embrace your life, and let yourself grow within your spectrum, not somebody else's. Do you feel threatened by other people's successes? A lot of times we bring other people down to help us bring ourselves up. And we should stop doing that, especially as women, where it's a bit tougher because of the marketing world. Let's build each other up. And when you do that and help build somebody else up, believe it or not, you'll start to feel better about yourself. And sometimes we secretly enjoy when somebody else fails to make ourselves feel better. That's all part of that success thing. So if you notice that happening, take a step back, take a breath, and think of ways to help build them up in their successes. It will take you along. It's as if that positive energy will lift you up too. Number 6, procrastinating or playing small. Hey, procrastinating is a big one for me that I have to battle every single day. I'm open to admitting it. A lot of things I don't enjoy doing, I will procrastinate, or maybe it's because of fear, or I'm afraid of not getting something right, so I procrastinate, or not being good enough, I procrastinate. That is where, again, ego is coming in to protect you rather than allowing you to grow. If we can recognize where we're procrastinating, the other thing that helps us is to take that self-awareness and look at why we might be procrastinating. And then we can push ourselves forward to continue growing and get the ego out the back door. Number 7 is defensiveness and insecurity in conflict. None of us like conflict. And I can say that a lot of times it's because we feel uncomfortable with it. It's not some space that we want to sit in. Granted, I get it. It's not pretty. But conflict in a healthy way can help us grow or stand firm for what we believe in. If somebody challenges you, we can see that as conflict. And it makes us angry or feel uncomfortable. And that's where the anger comes out. Or we shut down emotionally in conflict because we don't feel comfortable, and it doesn't allow us to stay open to hear what the other side or the other person is saying in a constructive way that will help us grow. And sometimes what we tend to do is we turn blame around instead of reflecting and saying, okay, what is the real issue here? Because only then can you solve it. Ego protects itself at all costs. That is what it is designed to do. And it's even at the expense of connection. And unfortunately, in reality and humanity, having great relationships, you're going to have conflict. But it's learning how to work through it in a healthy way, which will help develop those great relationships. It's growth. And lastly, on my list of ego is trying to control everything. I can say this one is difficult, especially in relationships where you say there's emotional abuse because somebody's trying to control. It's usually their ego. And to be honest, a lot of times it's because of insecurities. So that insecurity, not feeling like they have control in their own life, leads to them wanting to control everybody else's lives. We can't. We need to let it go. Ego fears chaos and loss of control. So that's when you want to micromanage other people or the outcomes. When in all honesty, the only person we can control is ourselves. And if you struggle with uncertainty and change, well, who ever feels comfortable with the unknown? Nobody does, but it's also a fact of life. So if we can prepare ourselves for it and learn other tools to cope with it, even when it doesn't go our way, that's how we can move past that chaos and that need to control. Or if you resist trusting the process. And last episode, we talked about flow and process because life happens. We don't control it all. If we grow and push ego aside and trust the process, that can help us discover the better things in life. So I guess the best way to look at it now is the shift. We had the shift last week with when things happen in life, instead of blocking and fighting what happens and trusting the flow and going with it in the process. The shift in this case is about moving beyond ego. The first step again is awareness. And we've had a whole episode on awareness. Self-awareness is key to growth and making things better for ourselves. You can't change what you don't notice. So we're here at 3 important questions to ask yourself, especially if you notice something off in the day. Let's start with 1 episode a day or 1 event a day. And we can journal about that and work at it to start taking notice. The first question would be, why am I reacting like this? A lot of times you hear somebody say, oh, you're overreacting. Yes, in essence, we can get really emotional about something and it all blows up. So sit back, take a breath and say, why am I reacting this way? Another one you can ask yourself is this coming from fear or is this coming from truth? A big saying I have is that there's no such thing as hate. It is fear manifesting itself. So I like to look at it that way. We can't hate what we're not afraid of. We can dislike some things and feel uncomfortable with things. But hate comes from fear. Instead, look for the truth. Ask your question, am I fearing it? Or what do I truly feel inside? And the last question I like to ask myself is, am I trying to impress somebody else? Or am I truly expressing myself? Always stop before you respond. Take a breath, sit back, and think of those questions. Ask yourself those questions first. The next time something comes up that's not so comfortable. And that will help you define if it's your ego or if it's something else coming through, like the truth. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying here is, again, with our journaling that we've talked about, and I will continue to push upon, because I'm working through my journey with you, is where is my ego holding me back in my life today? Ask yourself that question and ask yourself, what would my most authentic self do instead? Write it down and be brutally honest, because only you are seeing your journal, nobody else. And the only way we're going to grow is to be honest with ourselves. So that's it for today on our ego check. And if this episode hit home or you think would benefit someone else, please share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another beat at each week as we talk about something else. And if there's something you would like to hear about or something that you want to work on that you have questions about, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know what that is. We love hearing from you, and I answer everybody personally. You can contact us directly through comments on YouTube or on any of our socials, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. And there's always our website and our contact us page at www.hoperegain.com. In the meantime, remember, all this work is a bit of work, but you're worth it. So keep pushing on, because I'm sure you're going to find your best life yet. I'll see you next episode. Stay true to yourself, stay grounded, and I'm always here with that journey with you.